Hi everyone. Thank you all for joining. I think there will be a few more people who will join, but we should start. Um, my name is Natasha, and this is a webinar which is part of a series of webinars that ASAR organizes to basically share information between the stakeholders who work on air pollution. We try and do it on a regular basis, at least one per month. This particular webinar basically came out of some of the work that we are engaging on with our network partners on ground, namely Center for Sustainable Development and Parisar, both based in Maharashtra, Nagpur and Pune respectively. We basically realized that since air pollution is a multi-layered issue, and there are various ways in which one can sort of tackle it on the ground. We realized that the information that exists on some of the smaller sectors like crematoria is sort of not collated in any sort of coherent manner. So we realized that since our partners have sort of gone out there and done surveys and research on their cities crematoria, we thought that this would be a useful session for some of us who may want to take on this the issue of air pollution from the lens of small scale industries like crematoria. So without sort of wasting any more time, I'd actually like to introduce the two people who will take us through their respective work on the sector. Leena Buddhe, I'm sure most of you know, she is the founder director of CFSD, based out of Nagpur, and she basically has so just a disclaimer that neither of the studies have been, at least the results haven't been made public yet. We will be sharing some of the outcomes that have come out of the reports. But what the main focus of this specific webinar is going to be is why the groups took on this issue, how they did it, and what kind of support they got from their respective municipalities. Essentially, to give us a sense of, if we were to go down the same route, then what are the things that we need to keep in mind if we were to run a campaign around an issue like crematoria on air pollution. So Leena is, she will take us through the research work that they have done, and following her, there will be Shweta, who is associated with Parisar. She will also sort of take us through the reason as to why Pune and especially the hub were interested in this issue, and what came out of that entire process, and how they sort of went out onto the ground to actually collate the information that they have in hand now. Yeah, so over to you, Leena. I will share screen.
Yeah.
Give me a second. Sorry, just Just a request, can you all see? Confirm that you can see?
Yeah, it is visible.
All right, great.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So thank you so much, Natasha. And this is she has already introduced me. So I'm Leena Buddhe here, and I'm the founder and director of Center for Sustainable Development, and we are based out of Nagpur. Well, so the issue of crematorias. Actually, when we started reading the document on NCAP of Nagpur, for the city of Nagpur, also the air action plan that was made for Nagpur, we saw that there was this information which talked about how crematorias can also contribute to air pollution. Now, even when we were reading it, we had never really thought that crematorias can also be a source of air pollution. But then when we actually started delving deep into this issue of crematorias here, we realized that yes, definitely it must be contributing to a lot of air pollution. Now, initially, in earlier days, what used to happen was that crematorias used to be in the outskirts of the city. But as the city expands, we find that crematorias have now become an integral part of the city. Now, what is happening is that as the population of the city, of course, is increasing, and with the increase in population, we also see that there is more and more demand of crematorias having to be set up in within the city's limit. So I just want to take you. So Nagpur basically is a B town city. It is the winter capital of Maharashtra, and we have a population as of today. The population is approximately around 35 lakh people. Next slide, please. So I will just take you through as to how many crematorias are basically there in Nagpur. Now, of course, we all know that we need to have different crematorias for different religion. So we have the Hindu crematoriums, we have the Christian crematorias, we have the Muslim burial grounds. So the Hindu crematorias, we've just listed it down, and we got this list from the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. And there are around 18 crematorias, Hindu crematorias in Nagpur. And these are basically, based in different parts of the city and catering to the population of the different parts of the city. So it covers mostly all the parts of the city, the north, east, south, west part of the city. And so there is a total of around 18 Hindu crematorias. Next slide, please. The Muslim crematorias are also there. We do have a sizable population of the Muslim community, and mostly it is in the central part of the city, and it is in the east part of the city. So these and some in the part of the city also. So most of these crematorias are located in south, east, and central part of the city. So the names are given, and there are around 10 Muslim crematorias. Next slide, please. So this Christian crematorias, I mean the Christian cemeteries are also there, which are 8 in number. And this is also based upon where the population is basically located. I don't know why they've written the spelling of the church so badly. Yeah, so it is so different communities, or the Christian communities, the Protestant crematorias are different from the Roman Catholic one. So there are total 8 in number. Yeah. Now, ideally, what is happening is that we have seen that in the crematorias. Now, when we were visiting and profiling these crematorias, we realized that there are different kinds of things that are being used for cremation. One, of course, is wood, which is being used very extensively, and wood is used mostly in all of the crematorias. Then you also have LPG. I'm just coming back to briquettes. Then you also have the LPG machine, which is installed. I mean, so the LPG is basically used to cremate. Then you also have a diesel crematoria, where diesel is being used to cremate. and then you also have the electric one. Now, what is very significant to note in Nagpur is that we have briquettes here. Now, what are these briquettes basically? I want to share with you all that briquettes is something which is being extensively used in six crematorias in Nagpur. And briquettes are nothing but they are these like blocks which are made out of agriculture waste. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is typical of what are the things that are used. You can see the wood pyre is there, and then the LPG electric machine is also there, where the body is placed over there, and then it goes into that machine, and then the cremation is done. And then you have these briquettes. Now, when you look at these briquettes, they are basically made out of agriculture waste. So there is a person called Mr. Vijay Limaya here in Nagpur, who runs an organization called Eco City Living Foundation, and he was the one who actually came out with this idea of making briquettes. Now, briquettes. So what is happening is that all the agricultural waste, anyways, so when there is a season change, and when you harvest the crops, there is a lot of cotton cotton crop in Nagpur, and this cotton crop actually, once the harvest is done, there is this agriculture waste. Now, Mr. Limaya has a tie-up with all the farmers who are there in the neighboring in Nagpur district, in the neighboring place here around the city of Nagpur, and he basically gets it collected, and he's the one who is actually making these briquettes. So, these briquettes are made out of that, and then it is supplied to the. So he has a tie-up with the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. So what the municipal corporation is doing is that they have given him a contract where he is supplying these briquettes to the Nagpur Municipal Corporation. Now, at present, it is happening out of the 18 crematorias of the Hindu crematorias. Only six crematorias are using these briquettes. Now, these briquettes actually, the municipal corporation is encouraging people to use these briquettes. Because whenever a dead body arrives in a crematoria, they are given the option of, whether how do they want to cremate the body, whether they want to do it with the traditional wood, or do they want to do it with LPG, and they are also given the option of briquettes. Now, briquettes is something which the municipal corporation is giving them free of cost, so that more and more people are encouraged to use this briquette. Now, so when we went and when we were profiling the crematorias, we found out that a lot of people still prefer using wood, because of the traditional beliefs, and they think that wood is something that traditionally people have been doing it. So, but that comes at a cost. Actually, wood is actually given to the people at a cost. And when we were having an interaction with Mr. Vijay Limaya, he was telling us that ideally what happens is that 10 trees are basically, you have to cut 10 trees, and you require almost 250 kgs of wood to cremate one body. So he said that you basically cut full grown like 10 trees, So he said that now this agriculture waste, it is, the waste, the agriculture waste is anyways a waste. So you're making actually a good use of that waste. But the only issue is that, what is the air pollution, the level of air pollution that is happening? What is the difference of in the air quality when you use wood or briquettes? It's still something that we want to some more research has to happen in that. Yeah. So next slide, please. So this is basically more information about the briquettes. They are basically produced by compressing the biomass residues, like I already told you, and charcoal dust, sawdust, or other wood remnants or agricultural byproducts. In Nagpur, it is basically the agricultural byproducts that is being used, and then it is made into a solid unit, and which can be then used to burn the body. Now, they are basically acting as a practical solution to supplement the use of wood here. And briquettes, they are saying that it is more sustainable and more energy efficient, and you don't require too much amount of it, and it is also available, at a very you don't have to pay anything for it to the municipal corporation. As far as the pollution level is concerned, I think there's still some more studies that needs to be done in order to understand whether briquettes are best as far as the different methods of cremation are concerned. Next slide, please. Now, when we started studying the crematorias in Nagpur city, what we have seen is that the present condition of the crematorias in the city of Nagpur is quite good, in the sense that you will see that the different compartments are made, and people and a lot of beautification work has actually been done in most of the crematorias. It has become a little more systematic. I think in 60 to 70% of the crematorias out of the 18, most of them have are like, when you go there, it is this is the site that you see, that it looks very, very neat and organized. But the other issue that we have seen is that in most of the cases, you have chimneys installed in most of the crematorias, and most of the chimneys are blocked. So the chimneys are not really functioning, and because, like I said, that it is now in the heart of the city, in different localities in the city. So these crematorias are basically contributing a lot to air pollution. And so next slide, please. So what we had done is that we thought that, after making a profile of all these crematorias, we thought it would be good to actually interact with the citizens also. Since it is inside the city, we thought that why not go around people who live near these crematorias and figure out. So we basically wanted to understand, whether to understand the pollution that is being caused by the crematorias, and what is its effect on the health of the citizens. And then we also wanted to understand what are the problems that are being faced by the citizens due to these crematorias. We also wanted to understand, what are people thinking about the use of briquettes, and vis-a-vis the use of wood in crematorias. And also we found that there were some hospitals and schools which are there near the crematoria. So what are the problems that these hospitals and schools are basically facing due to these crematorias? Next slide, please. Now, so the questionnaire that we made basically was, so the location, name of the respondent, male, female, the address, and the living at the current address. Since, we also wanted to figure out how long have these people been exposed to this pollution. And then we were also asking questions like, do you have children who attend the school close by? And if yes, then how close is the school to the crematoria? Is it within 1 kilometer, 2 kilometer, or 3 kilometer? Or do you feel it is safe to have the school so close to the crematoria? And do you have senior citizens in your household who have to visit the local hospital, because there are breathing issues. When we were interacting with the people, we found that people were also complaining of foul smell coming when the bodies are being burnt. So the foul smell generally comes more in particular seasons, like the rainy season. So people did complain, did talk about that smell also. And then we also tried to find out that how close is the hospital from the crematoria. Next slide. Now, do you feel it is safe to have a hospital so close to the crematoria? Please select from the following list what you think you're facing due to the crematoria close by. So we had given a list of things, and then please select from the following if health issues, if you think you are facing due to the crematoria close, which is like close by. So we had again given a list of like health issues like, you know, breathing difficulties, burning sensation in the eyes, और क्या था option? Traffic congestion because of the crematoria. Okay, health issues में क्या क्या था और breathing था, eyes burning, skin infections, and congestion in the lungs and all. Okay. Then we also asked them some questions like, are the chimneys installed in the crematoria? And do you think if the chimneys are installed, are they functional? And then the other questions that we asked was, of course, when we profiled the crematoria, we also found out whether there is a buffer of trees as per the norms that are given in the NCAP document, whether there is this buffer of greenery around the crematoria. So are there trees surrounding the crematoria? And then we also took some general suggestions regarding the crematoria and the distance, and when we were interviewing people, we basically selected around 50 households, you know, around the crematoria. Now some crematoria were in commercial places, so we actually went around talking to people who were running shops and all, which were in the nearby area. And some crematorias, which are like, some of them which are not really very functional, like the crematoria in Jetara, which is like just lying vacant, and it's like on a huge ground and there's nothing around. So we skipped taking survey forms over there. So household or commercial, we were basically taking information from them. Yeah. Now, what we are wanting basically is that whatever the profiling that we have done of all the crematorias, it is very important that, you know, along with the beautification, the facilities that are there in the crematorias have to be up to the mark, especially as far as the chimneys are concerned. All these chimneys basically have to be functional, and we also felt that that these crematorias, you know, need to have a buffer of green plantation, and we found that in a lot of crematorias it is still not there. As far as the use of briquettes is concerned, because this is something which is very unique in Nagpur, that the briquettes are being you know, supplied by a local person. Now on a personal you know, communication with him, you know, because initially when we were talking to him, he said that 80% of the people in Nagpur know about briquettes, and they know about you know, and in 80% of the crematorias briquettes are being used. But when we actually went on site and when we saw that it was only 6 out of the 18 crematorias basically where briquettes were being used. A few days back again, I just shared this with him, that, you know, unlike what you were telling us, this is not the case. So he shared with me that, you know, that the wood supplying lobby is so strong in Nagpur that they are not allowing me to actually, you know, the municipal corporation also to spread this briquettes in all the you know, crematorias. And of course, then I also told him that, you know, we still need to do a little bit of a little bit more detailed study on, you know, wood versus the briquettes in terms of the air pollution, for which he agreed. And he was like, you know, telling me that, you know, if you have this survey, it will be really good to, of course, we want to, once we are finished with our survey, I mean, the analysis of our survey, we've already done this analysis, and we've already finished with the profiling of all the crematorias. Once we are ready with this, we would definitely like to submit a report of this study to the municipal corporation, the municipal commissioner, and of course we want to ensure that the action point that is suggested in the NCAP document regarding crematorias is improved, you know, to improve the air quality, is implemented to improve the air quality status of Nagpur city. So this is basically why we wanted to do the crematoria study. We saw that there were a lot of gaps and lapses, and there is a lot that still needs to do as far as upgrading the infrastructure in crematorias is concerned, because they have become an integral part of the city, and they are you know, right in the heart of the city. surrounded by residential colonies, including hospitals and schools. So it becomes, and of course, the air pollution that is being caused due to these crematorias is definitely creating health issues, and this should be addressed seriously by the urban local body too. So this is the reason why we have done this survey, and I would be happy to answer any of the questions that you have after. Sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks, Leena. So actually, since we are at 3:30, I'll quickly ask Shweta to take us through your presentation as well, and then post that maybe we'll have a couple of questions between ourselves, and then we'll open it up to the audience. Shweta, on to you.
Sounds good. So I'll just share my screen. Yeah, so you can see my presentation and hear me also, right?
Yes. Yes.
Cool. So I'll keep it short. This has a lot of slides, and I might skip a few which are not relevant for this audience. So yeah. So I'll just mention a little bit about the hub. So the Pune Air Action Hub was actually formed in 2022 August, and it's been just a couple of months, but we've come out with a lot of good interactions, good activities, and the Crematoria survey is one of the things that has actually come out of from the members of the hub, and that's why I think it's also interesting in many ways other than just the outcome of the survey alone. So let me walk you through why we at the hub actually took this up as an issue. So as I said, the focus of the hub and the way it has been conceptualized has always been that though Parisar as an organization will have certain points which we want to advocate and which we want to engage with, we wanted the hub to be a space where ideas come from the hub members and not dominated by us. So this was actually the issue of the crematoria was actually brought to the forum by a member called Vikrant Latkar, who is a resident living near the premises of the largest and the oldest crematorium in Pune, which is Vaikunth. And he has actually been involved, very, very intensely involved with the issue, because not only is he a victim of the pollution from the crematorium, but he has also taken it to his hands to, do everything possible, meet every politician, meet every decision maker, go to the court and all of that. And then when the hub was formed, he actually joined the hub, of course, and he presented what all he had done during the course of the last, I don't know how many years. And he said, what can we do about it? Because I have possibly done everything that I had to. And then there was a discussion on, he is speaking about this one particular crematorium that he is living near. But then this is a systemic issue. This is probably more likely an issue which exists in many of the crematoria in the city. So out of the discussion from that one meeting, there were like 3 parts that emerged, and that meeting was also attended by Member of Parliament Vandana Chauhan, who's also very involved in these processes that we have, and she's also very concerned about the environment in the city. And in the discussion that ensued, 3 main points came up as the problem statement for us to proceed. First was, of course, the immediate problem that Vikrant Latkar was facing, and which was that the Vaikunth crematorium, being the oldest and being probably the place where most facilities were easily available, easily accessible, he felt that there was an uneven load on Vaikunth, which means that a lot of people throughout the city preferred to come to Vaikunth, irrespective of where they lived or where the hospital was where the patient died. They would still want to come to Vaikunth, and thereby increasing the load on Vaikunth, meaning that the systems in Vaikunth were overloaded. There was more pollution, there were more cremations happening there than were necessary. And there was also this huge spike, especially during the COVID times, which also sort of aggravated the whole thing. So one was, of course, this issue of this one particular crematorium in the city. And out of that, it came about that, why is it happening that people are coming so far wherever they are to this one crematoria? Is it that other crematoria are not good? Do they not have services? Where are they located? Where do people go when, this crematorium is so far off? And all these questions started coming up. And Vandana Savan herself suggested that she said that I have seen other crematoria in the city and they are not bad. So then why is this happening? And then out of the discussion, many things were coming up that maybe people don't know where the crematoria are. Maybe these crematoria somehow do not have electric facilities, gas facilities, lot of things. And then this was all coming up to a thing where it was saying that we think this is happening, we think that is happening. So that it was decided, why don't we do a survey which actually documents quite a bit of this information and then bridge this information gap. And based on the survey, we can then make very logical, rational demands to the municipal commissioner and to the pollution control boards. So the two other things which are related to this whole thing that emerged out of this one crematorium issue is that what the air pollution systems in these other crematoria were like. Do they have air pollution control systems at all? None of that information was readily available. And the third is just the whole system of crematoria. How do crematoria work? What are the gaps? What are the points which people are looking for when they are looking for a crematoria and so on? So these being the problem, the parts of the problem statement, the methodology that we took was that we actually designed a questionnaire which covered a lot of these things. So there were like two broad parts. One is the actual air pollution control systems, the facilities for cremation that were available, and then the aesthetic sort of part, which meaning that were the crematoria clean? Did they have water supply? Did they have clean toilets? How was the surrounding? How was the entrance? Was there garbage? Is there an issue of stray dogs and whatnot? So a questionnaire to that effect was made. The survey was actually done by hub members, which is again a very important thing because it signals a lot of engagement from the hub members. And we divided these crematoria between us, and out of the 80 crematoria that Pune has, the list of which we needed to get from PMC, it was not anywhere readily available. We had to file an RTI and get that information. Out of the 80 crematoria that Pune had, we surveyed 40 of them, and then we analyzed, of course, the survey forms. So just taking you through the important findings that came out of the survey. This, I feel, I mean, the word information is not really interesting to this audience, but it is interesting to know that out of the 40 crematoria that we surveyed, only 7 had the facility of electric cremation and 16 had the facility of gas cremation. So there itself, we are beginning to see, what kind of differences there might be in the different crematoria in the city, where if one person really wants to opt for electric cremation, then the options for him automatically become very, very limited. This is actually, I think we put this slide in because we had given Vandana Chauhan 3 questions to be, put forward in the parliament. One of which was that, is there any information which sort of says that crematoria is an important, significant source of pollution in urban areas? And the reply to which was, there is no information saying that, but here you can see that this is a study done by ARAI, and crematoria, though a smaller part, is still figured into the sources of pollution in cities. Then we go to the actual survey results. I will just run through these because these are very city specific and it may not be very useful for everybody to spend too much time on this. So there are 3 kinds of fires, 3 kinds of systems when it comes to burning. So one is open burning, which is like there is no roof, and obviously then there is no chance of a pollution control system there. And the semi-open fires are ones which have a roof, but they do not necessarily have an air pollution control system. So out of the survey that we did of the 40 crematoria, there were 66 semi-open fires, and out of that 42 had air pollution control systems. And out of the open, there were 83 open fires, and obviously none of them had an air pollution control mechanism. And only 3 crematoria out of those surveyed had an air quality monitor nearby in the vicinity. So that is also something that we were, looking for. This is just a picture of this semi-open. On the left-hand side is semi-open, the right-hand side is open. We also did a few, whenever we used to visit the crematoria, we used to talk to the person in charge if there was a person in charge. And these are some of the findings that have not come out of the study data-wise, but at least from the talks with people. It was found that when we talk of pollution, one would obviously think that wood cremation or cremation using wood burning is something that needs to be stopped right away, because that is a major source of the pollution that we are talking of. So who really opts for this kind of cremation? And it was opined by certain people like the contractor who supplies wood and the person who is actually managing the crematoria. They seem to think that the higher class, as in the socioeconomic class A and C is the lowest, and A is the higher class, they generally opt for electric or gas cremation. And the reasons are totally different. The higher class, of course, because probably they are more aware and they are not really tied down to uh, notions of, whatever, I mean, moksha because of wood burning. And the lowest class, because electric cremation is free, it's cheaper. If you can actually get back the money that you pay for electric cremation later. So the economic cause is more for the lower socioeconomic class. The middle class is the major class that really wants to go for this wood cremation. So what comes out of this is that though we may do all these kinds of different studies, there is also a very important chunk of changing people's perception when it comes to reducing pollution from crematoria at source. So if people by themselves are opting for electric and gas cremation and not wood burning, that would be a significant portion of pollution being reduced at the source itself. So this is something which is very important from the people's perception point of view. And why whatever Vikrant came up with in the first meeting, that Vaikunt is a place where, most people prefer to go to, like all the influential people in the city. It's a core city, old part of the city, core city area. So it's very, very convenient, very, very known. Then why, apart from that, why is it that people are preferring this particular crematorium? And it also was found that somehow at all points where a person is making a decision to opt for a crematorium, Vaikunt is sort of bumped up. So for example, if you are in the hospital, then by default, they will, on the death pass, they will sort of put, there'll be the option of Vaikunt over there or something else. And Vaikunt is the most prioritized, most convenient option. And that's where at each step where a person is taking a decision on which crematoria to go to, Vaikunt sort of bumps up. And also because it's like this, one of the hub members said that it's like this conveyor belt of cremations. It's just so seamless over there that things just happen faster. So that was also one of the reasons why this particular crematoria was being preferred. These are the, this is the data from the surveys, and I'll just run past through it. So water supply, 70% of the crematoria had 24-hour water supply. There was good greenery in 67%. Toilets scored a little low because only 45% sort of had clean and functional toilets. And general cleanliness also seemed to be a little lesser. So 47%, only 47% had like good clean surroundings. And whether the crematoria had a space for rituals or not, that was also an important contender. And 90% of the crematoria we surveyed had a space for rituals to be done, like the 10th day, the 12th day, or whatever it is for different communities. This is one of the nicer crematoria in Pune. It's like spacious, it is clean, and there's a space to do everything. There are clean toilets and so on. Just for, this is the electric crematorium. This is the air pollution control system chimney. So this chimney also was, I think, an interesting bit, because we tried to sort of say that, just kind of gauge how high the chimney is. And it was found that, like, it didn't seem like all the chimneys in the in all crematoria were meant to be 30 meters, which what the electrical officer in PMC said, that, no matter what in the city, all over, it's going to be 30 meters because that is mandatory. This is just the entrance of certain crematoria where there's garbage lying. So this is also an important thing on why people maybe do not want to go to certain crematoria in the city, because it's just unclean. The approach road itself is not very great, and hence people don't feel very okay to go to these, and they'd rather prefer those which are more established. This was about the people and some other information. So the presence of a person who is there to attend anybody who comes. So 70% of the crematoria had such a staff in more or less number. Stray dogs was actually perceived to be an issue, but when we actually surveyed these 40 crematoria, it didn't come out to be a very big issue. And the last thing is the contact number, which was an issue because only 37% of the crematoria surveyed had a phone number which was there where people could actually call and ask or call and get information. But there's also a catch in that, because the phone numbers were like this sometimes. So there was no phone number actually online or anywhere where a person would like to access it. But sometimes when you go to the crematoria, there would be phone numbers like this written randomly, which is also, I mean, not good enough, not great. So anybody who wants to inquire beforehand, before going to a crematoria, might not be able to do so very easily. And the reason the people gave for this was that, why do you need a phone number in a crematoria? Because generally the hospital would know which crematoria to send them to, or the PMC would tell them, and then it's just a hassle to have a phone because people keep on calling and they ask for things. So that was the answer we got, that it's actually not necessary for crematoria to have phone numbers. So after the study, this was a sort of, we tried to collate on what we can do after the study. What does the study really point to? First is, of course, this huge gap about information about crematoria in the public domain. So if tomorrow I want to find out where is there a crematoria in my ward, there's absolutely no way I can find out online from a credible source. And that is something that's a huge gap that needs to be covered. Also, the locations of these crematoria were very, very, they were not very easy to find. And I think that's also important, because at a point when you're trying to find a place to cremate somebody from your family or a loved one, you don't want to spend time locating a crematoria and then finding where it is. So I think these bits of information are extremely important, and they need to be on official websites and places where people can easily access it. The second point was electric or gas cremations over wood burning. So how can you actually push or influence people to opt for electric or gas cremations than for wood burning? And for that, we felt that there is a certain amount of outreach and awareness needed. Also, the fact that the facilities of gas and electric cremation are available at very limited crematoria, that is also something that needs to be addressed from the authorities, that there should be more places where these facilities are there. And of course, there has to be outreach about the fact that why should you opt for electric, or why should you opt for gas and not for wood burning, without getting into the religious or the emotional aspect of it too much. By just saying that, you know, when you opt for electric or gas, you are reducing pollution or something like that, and not saying the other way around. Of course, these are very nitty-gritties that can be thought of when we get into that. The third part that we felt was this issue that a certain person living in a particular ward is not going to a crematoria which is near him, but going somewhere very far off, because that's the only place he knows. So this can sort of be addressed if the crematoria management is handed down at the ward level. So the ward officer or the elected representative is actually responsible for how the crematoria in his ward are maintained, whether the air pollution systems work, whether there's enough information for the citizens to go to these crematoria in the ward itself. All this can be sort of decentralized, and then also made a little competitive, in the sense that, you know, you need to be concerned about what kind of facilities you're giving to your ward citizens when it comes to crematoria. And of course, the last point, which is very obvious that came out, is that there are certain basic facilities that need to be ensured at these crematoria, like clean toilets, water, etc. Last slide, 3 action points. These, I think, are more from an angle of, so I think the earlier slide is something that can be done at the municipal corporation level. And these were the points which we wanted to really put to the municipal commissioner. And these are points which are to be put to the Central Pollution Control Board, which is that it's sort of, it's important to measure the AQI near the crematoria to be able to say that the air pollution systems are working, and they're working, and just to be able to sort of also find if they stop working, when they stop working, there need to be mechanisms that need to be in place. Again, air pollution control systems, I think there were a lot of details that we discussed, and I'm not putting them there in the slide. A very small example is that the electric cremation setup that is there in most crematoria in Pune is apt for a body weighing 70 kgs. So I mean, all bodies are not going to be weighing 70 kgs, and if the body is weighing more, then it sort of compromises the way the cremation happens and increases the emissions in the process. So these small things which are technical in nature need to be sort of standardized by agencies that are capable of doing that, and these need to be published as norms by CPCB. And the last is again a very comprehensive umbrella ask that there need to be guidelines for crematoria operations throughout India. So yeah, so that's what we did in Pune, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Shweta. So just actually, so a request to everybody, if you do have questions, type it in and we'll take it from the chat. But just actually picking up from what Ranjit has indicated, and I think a question that I had in mind to ask you both. So as a follow-up, Shweta, Leena, what was your experience on this topic with the municipality? I know, Leena, that with Vijay Limaya, there's been a sort of consistent interaction between him and the municipality, but from our end, when we were carrying out the research, was there any interaction that you had with the municipality, and what was that like? I mean, was there pushback, or was there acceptance of the fact that there's things that do need to be put in place? So I'll let Leena take the question first, and then Shweta, you can.
Actually, we just finished the survey, Natasha, and we were thinking that when we approach the municipality, it should be with the proper documentation, once the report is released. So we, of course, we want to share, like I said it also, that we want to share all this results with the municipal corporation and then have a discussion with them. Now, otherwise, like I said that, like when we were trying to understand why the briquettes are being used only in 6 crematorias and not, even in spite of the fact that, it is such a good option, why is it not being used in other crematorias? So, so the general feeling is that the people who give wood, it's like, people who are the suppliers, their lobby is very strong, so they don't want that chain to be broken. And when I say the lobby is very strong, of course, the municipal officers who are responsible for this are also not encouraging or wanting the briquettes to penetrate in all the crematoria. So the thing they say that, why do you want, so I think even Vijay Limaya ji is now he wants us to like release this report and submit it to the municipal corporation and have a dialogue with them, so that it will help in promotion of this briquettes here. Because Vijay Limaya ji anyways is like, this thing of briquettes that he started, it was even shared by Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji in his Mann Ki Baat, where he talked about Vijay Limaya ji also. So he is actually already on a high. But yes, we will, we will enter into a dialogue with them once we have this report with us. Because the report, I did not dwell too much on the profiling of it, like how Shweta has shared the detailed profiling. That's how also we have also done the same way, because when we were making these profiles, we shared the question. We also took a copy of the questionnaire that Parisar was doing. So we incorporated a lot of things from what they were also doing there, so that our profile also becomes quite like a comprehensive profile of each of the crematorias. The issues that she is mentioning is similar to the issues that are there in Nagpur also. So the issues are pretty common. So I think, but the only thing is that in none of the crematorias the chimneys are working. So that's a matter of.
Thanks, Leena. So essentially what you're saying is that post the report release, you're going to take the findings to the municipality and then take it from there.
Yes.
Shweta, do you want to come in?
Yeah, so I think it's the same situation that we've not yet, we are trying to get a meeting from the municipal commissioner and present the same kind of presentation to him, asking for, yeah, the same kind of presentation to the commissioner also. Someone, okay. That's one. And if you're asking what kind of interaction we've had before or while doing the survey, I think they were quite okay. We did have to file an RTI to get a few bits of information, but it was not readily available. That is something that is a big problem. We had to ask for it, and then really go and meet the person involved, the health department, and meet the officer who the chief of the electric department who actually looks after these things, and not great information was received even after we've done that. So that's been the experience while doing it, and we are still to actually meet decision makers after the report. So yeah.
And taking up Ranjit's, I mean, point, and we've discussed this previously as well. So, is there? Do you get a sense that there is a knowledge of alternate sources of, I mean, fuel sources within even the people who run the crematoria? Do they even have a sense of what the alternates are? And of course, we do have to do, I think there's a huge gap on the information on how efficient those sources are. But did you get a sense that they have at least a little bit of information on the alternate sources already?
So we did speak, our questionnaire had a question of, what do you use to burn? And in that, we had put the option of briquettes, but currently there are no briquettes being used anywhere. But some of them did say that during COVID, it was being used as a source in some crematoria, but it didn't really work after that. I think it was just like a trial thing or something, and then nothing after that. In terms of whether they are considering other options, I don't think we've had a conversation with them really about this. That if not wood, then what? I think for us, it's if not wood, then more of electric and gas as of now.
So actually, just I think from both the efforts carried out, the one thing that's clear is that if any of us were to go down on the route of taking on an issue, taking on air pollution from the point of view of a small industry or any kind of sector, it will have to go down to the fact that basic administration as well as implementation of what already exists is lacking, right, at a great extent. That seems to be one of the key reasons why the main Vaikunth crematoria is being used so actively and the others aren't. And the similar manner, Nagpur's briquette usage has not picked up, even if it's for free, that it's being given out. Any other point that so I'll just encourage the audience, if they have any questions, please type it, or you can unmute and ask. But any other points that come to either Leena and Shweta, feel free to make.
Yeah, so I think Ranjit sir has just typed in a very important bit of information. So when I said that Vandana, where we asked Member of Parliament Vandana Chauhan to post some questions in Parliament, and she asked if there is any existing, are there any existing guidelines for crematoria management? The answer that was given in the Parliament was that guidelines are being developed by CPCB, but that was it. So we also are going to follow it up, I mean, submit this report to the CPCB through, I mean, Vandana Chauhan will actually be submitting the report and asking what the status of these guidelines is and who is involved in all this, what stage it is at. and if possible, get a draft of that or something. So that is one very important bit of information that I missed, that they are saying that guidelines for crematoria management are being developed, but we do not know what is there in that. Yeah.
Ranjit or Shweta, I guess. So if CPCB were to put those guidelines across, how would it trickle down into each state and city though? That would be it would be quite a while before that happens, right?
No, they will put out a notification and that will go to all the state pollution control boards. And then respectively, the crematoria will have to adhere to that. They might give them a timeline, potentially, that within a year you have to do it or something like that. I suppose that's how these things work. And I'm sure they won't be implemented fully. So then activists will get into the act also. So yeah, slightly long process, but at least hopefully a lot of these things they will codify. And maybe if we want even standards for briquettes and things like that, maybe we can ask CPCB that in addition to the other things, the infrastructural issues, maybe this, what Shweta mentioned, that we would also want you to say that there should be air quality monitoring near the crematoria and give the standards for that, how near, how far, etc. So yeah, if there is some potential for public engagement in that process, then that would be great, because we could all say that, hey, we would like to give you some inputs into that based on our experience. And then, of course, they will finalize it in their own manner.
Actually, sorry, Leena, go ahead.
Yeah, so I think with this study that Parisar has done and also CFSD here we have done in Nagpur, it will be good to like push this, you know. I think personally also once the reports are out, it can be shared for advocacy. I think it can be shared with CPCB directly instead of just relying on you know, representatives, I mean government representatives to elected representatives to put it forth. I think we as NGOs can also put it across and you know, get some guidelines in place. So we can also act like a pressure group. So I think we must also go ahead and share this report with whoever the decision makers are, and that will definitely create some kind of an you know, bring in some kind of systems in place. Yeah.
Great. So actually, and just one last point from our learning as well. Considering that, you know, crematoria is it's a sensitive topic, especially, you know, when you're at the receiving end of the services of one, or have to use it for a loved one who's passed away. We have been sort of toying with the idea of actually also running like a little bit of a you know, what, like consumer side of a campaign, because of course, you know, when if like the old saying that demand and supply go hand in hand, so that's also a possibility of what we're trying to do with both the reports. And you know, we'll hopefully have something to report down the line when that takes off. So we're at 4:01. I'd like to thank Leena and Shweta and all the participants who attended. This is just the hopefully just the start of, you know, us tackling industry as well in some form and manner to tackle air pollution. And we will try, you know, we will continue to organize such webinars where people can learn from other pieces of work. So thank you, Leena and Shweta and everybody else.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you so much.